Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's edition of the Maconi Setup Shop Fix Tutorials. This week we are showcasing the Phoenix Raceway, so strap in and let's get to it. Right off the hop here, the first thing we're going to discuss is yes, you will be shifting once again at this racetrack. In last week's video for Martinsville, I made the suggestion that you probably want to use a wheel with paddle shifters if you have it to make it easier. This week for Phoenix, I would probably make the same recommendation, although I would like to note that I did this run on my oval wheel that does not have paddle shifters, so I was using my sequential shifter. So yes, I was taking my hand off the wheel to make all my shifts. It is doable. I don't think it's anywhere near as hard as it was at Martinsville, uh, but to make it easier for you to race, keeping your hands on the wheel, I would probably recommend using paddle shifters again this week if you have them. But if you don't, it's not a big deal. It's not something that's going to slow you down. It's more of a comfort thing. So if you want to run a sequential shifter, if you have one, it's not a disadvantage. It's just something to make your life a little easier. Speaking of easy, the dogleg here at Phoenix with this car is anything but that. It is really sketchy with how low this car sits to the ground, the front splitter, and even the diffuser. If you take the dogleg too shallow, um, the left front will grab into the racetrack and it'll send you around in a heartbeat. It's really hard to control once you hit it. So coming through here this time, I just want to pause it and try to show you what I'm talking about. I find that if you're on the right side of this white line here where it turns for the dogleg, if you're on the right side here and you try to cross over, the left front hits the flat part and it just pulls the car around and it's incredibly hard to save. If you do manage to save it, you're going to overcorrect into the outside wall, or you're just going to go for a big lazy spin down here. So when aiming for this dog leg, you want to try to get to the left side of this white line before it turns for the dog leg, because this is a lot of banking up here. It is significantly slower. When I was testing earlier, I found that you lose about a half a tenth just staying on the racetrack, and you don't make it up going into the corner. In theory, you lose about 800ths, but because you have a much better angle into the corner, you gain about 3 of it back, but you're still losing out. And if you wanted to run the racetrack and stay in fourth gear, you're losing about a tenth total. So when we're aiming for this dog leg, you really want to be on this side of the white line where it curves. Otherwise, the way the race car is designed, it'll bottom out through the dog leg and hit the left front and become very unstable. Speaking of unstable, that was the result of a late downshift. Had a lot of wheel input and tried to downshift and almost wrecked the car. So that wanted to leave that in there for you guys to see the possibilities of what could happen if you're not on point with your timing. That could have been really bad. Thankfully, I was able to save it and keep going so that I could complete this. But just like a road course, you try to do all your shifting and braking before the corner. Unfortunately, with this car and this track, the way that the gearing ratio is, you really can't. You can see where I'm shifting the corners. In turn one, if you shift any sooner, you've got so much RPMs and so much torque that it almost just binds the car up and locks the left rear, which makes it very uncomfortable and unstable, as you just saw. So it's a timing thing. You don't want to have a whole lot of wheel input to the left when you downshift, because the car will also jump out from under you. Turn 3, I find to be a lot easier. It's a much straighter entry to the corner. You're not coming off the dog leg, so you don't have much wheel input in it. It's a straightaway, thankfully. As you can see here, like, we're still kind of making an arc to set up for this corner, so you have wheel input. It is important to note that, as you see in turn 1 here, the second and third lanes, I still believe, have the extra grip, if you want to call it whatever you want to call PJ1 or whatever. It's still modeled in iRacing. It is better to wrap the yellow line, I believe, if you're really trying to save your rear tires, as long as you're easy on the gas, but you give up quite a bit of time. So you'll probably see just about everybody running up in this second or third lane. Ultimately, you're just trying to have the straightest exit off of turn 2 so that you can carry all your speed and momentum down this back straightaway. And then turn 3, you really want to wrap this yellow line or at least get down to it on exit. It's a very interesting corner. I'll back it up before we get into the in-car. This wasn't the greatest demonstration for it this lap, uh, but the people that are really good at getting around this track, they wrap this yellow line quickly. And as fast as you get to the yellow line, you're almost right back in the gas, carrying your momentum off of this big sweeping corner. So we'll switch to the in-car here so that you guys can get a better perspective coming to the last lap and see a difference of what you don't want to do getting this wide end entry compared to what you really want to do on this last lap here. Okay, guys, a couple things to go over. Again, shifting, we're using fourth and third gear. You will hit the chip going into one at some point if you're going fast enough, but that's okay because the moment you get on the chip going into turn 1, you're going to be off the gas anyway for the corner, so that's not a big deal. I really don't think you want to be getting into fifth gear at all because it's just going to be making a lot of extra work for you. Just trying to keep it as simple as we can, right? Uh, Again, turn 1, the very first lane on the bottom along the yellow line doesn't have as much grip, although this car in particular makes enough grip that you can still run down there and be competitive. It's much better to save your tires because you can't use as much throttle down there to carry your momentum off the corner as you can in the second and third lane where there is the extra grip. So when you are higher up on the racetrack, you want to get that straight exit so you can carry a lot more speed down the straightaway. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave a comment down below and we will do our best to answer them for you throughout the week whenever we check them. If you guys find that this video was helpful, please consider leaving a like. And last but not least, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can see these videos every Monday once Maconi Setup Shop posts them. All right, guys, best of luck this week, and we'll see you out on the track.